Coming up?
Everything on 57.
You
got to do better than that.
You said it on 70.
Yeah. You cut it back down when we lose.
Like they said about pants ones, that 36 feels so good, go ahead and give me.
There was a time cold is bothering us, you know that.
It's always bothering. It's always bothering.
Pretty good. Cliff's in the house.
Yes, it is.
What's happening?
Towards the end of the.
No, listen.
Hey, buddies.
If I seen better, I'd be your age.
I used to sure, wasn't he supposed to be in the older group? He had that cut off, hey, 1 year.
This is about one.
Oh, seemed like he'd been around forever.
Wow.
Hey, that's a good thing, though. That's a good thing.
Another day in paradise.
Bunch of folks gone.
Huh?
I said there's a bunch of folks gone.
Scared to think about it, ain't
I know. Tells you you're getting old, boy.
you? Better just be glad you wake up.
I know. I know.
Well, I still wake up at 5
Oh,
o'clock.
that's me, 5:30. I'm
You
up.
still do that?
Yeah,
I'm still up.
I just don't get up.
Oh, my God.
Up at 5 o'clock.
Yeah,
Y'all get up?
I don't, oh, I'm up, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
Oh,
get up.
my Lord.
I don't get up to 6.
I used to do that for years, but I don't now.
I've done it all my life, so you changed the bit.
I know you used to get up early. I didn't know you got up like that, Jimmy.
I get at the station, I get to the station every day at 6:30.
I know you got there early doing that.
Open the door, have the coffee ready, go tell Graves, I got you, buddy.
Leave when you want to leave.
You know what? That one question, and they ask you what you miss a lot about it, and that's it. Coming in, smelling apparatus floor, and you could, if you had something, you smell it.
See the hose sitting in the back,
See the hose on the tailboard.
smell it, yeah.
You smell it, and that's the part I miss.
Yeah.
That's, I've said that before on some of you.
Yeah.
Just coming in, you know, try to have things ready for the guys. Go let him take a nice shower.
Talk to you soon. I'll call you tonight. Bye.
Not have to worry about jumping on that truck.
He was up at Station 1 and, you know, I'd go in there and I've been wanting to talk, you know, my heart, I needed some advice, you know. And so, you know, about 9 o'clock, you know, my eyes start doing like that. Next thing I know, I was still talking to him, he's asleep. Going to bed.
What's his advice?
It's all right talking to one time, but it's every shift. Every shift he had a problem. He wanted to come here and
He's
talk.
all the one talking.
And that,
Hey, my man got the Halligan tool. He's ready.
Oh, this is gonna be the first guy.
He didn't know it. Yeah. You can go in the sliding glass door, but we can sit down right here, bud.
We're gonna be talking about this.
Wherever you want to sit.
That's a heavy cane.
That's right. He's got stickers on that thing so he knows it didn't come off the truck.
That's right.
I think that's one we missed.
Still looking for that thing.
I got charged for that thing.
tell Dwayne where it's at.
Did you tell Blaine that you got that?
I had to call him, Mark. I forgot about it.
Go ahead and take it.
Let me sit down here.
Lay it on the table, baby.
We're laying on the table?
Yeah. Is this going to be the story about taking that metal door down?
That's exactly right.
Who should have brought the door? How long do you think Daddy, you think I put a time limit on that one?
That ain't no baby, man.
That's the family. Somebody's firefighter here. Let's see it. Let's see it.
Back in the day.
Fighting fire saving lives.
That's right.
It may be all over the place. Yeah, but good. I'm good to see you. Hey, no, say out. Don't give Daddy a big thank you. Yeah, I thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, y'all, hey, give Daddy a big thank you. Hey, guys. This is part of history, what we're going to do today. I've already, with Brian, has videoed the silent generation Y'all are the baby boomer generation, and we had our own challenges and things when we first come in. I'll read a little bit about it here in a minute, and then we'll start with the questions. And these questions were just to kind of get you thinking about things. I'm not going to ask any individual unless you want to just chime right in when we go through a question. We won't get to all of them probably. A lot of the things that we're laughing and joking this morning when was coming in was fun as well. So, and he may have to edit some of it. Now, what I'd like for you to do, because this helps him for, if you would just tell us who you are and maybe what you did, where you captain, We'll start with Gary here, and we'll go ahead and let him introduce himself, and then we'll go around the table for the video. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm Gary Church. I came on in 1970, and we were the recruit class that made the big change of 24 on, 24 off to 24 on, 48 off. And I rode engine company about 10 years, and I rode 11 years truck company, I know, around that way. So that's my story.
I'm Cliff Oakley. I was in class of 20, and I was at 11 for 17 years, and everywhere else for close to 48 years.
That's right.
Wow.
Cliff, you were one of the longest working.
Longest. I was the longest.
Yeah.
As far as I know, still am, online.
Okay.
Yeah.
I retired when I turned 70.
And here comes, as Jerry walks in, Jerry, come on in here. We're doing an introduction. Just tell us who you are and what stations or where you're at. Go ahead. Go ahead, Gary. Sit right here. What station you are, who you are. He needs to know this. Who you are.
Tell them who I am, Jerry Price. And what?
Stations where you've been, anywhere you've been assigned, anything about you. Your wife's list.
Station 8.
Is that the main one? Any other station you consider?
No, 11. 11. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Jerry, just pull you up to see. Sit right here.
I called my wife. I said, "What day is this thing?" And she said, "It's today."
That's all right.
You got any idea where? She said, "It says right here, Fireman's Club." Might be part of the
I'm Jim Williams. I retired for 38 years credible service. I was in the 22nd class. I was assigned to Engine 11, opened Truck 4 up at Station 7 in 1974, assigned to Hazmat at Station 16, assigned to High Level Rescue at Station 5, retired in 07, and been a great career. Loved every day.
86, I went through the class with Jimmy. Spent 24 years Station 8. I thought I owned the place.
You did.
Tearing up my house now, putting it back together. That's it.
Danny Shoemate, and if they was in 22, we was in 23, so that's the only way we know how to do it. We come on in 72, worked at Station 8, 7, Station 5 on the rescue, Station 9, a driver on Station 9, and went through the ranks, battalion chief, assistant chief, and retired as deputy chief with 38 years in 09.
When did you say you come on?
72.
72.
When you and I come on?
72.
And you're in 23. We got you covered.
O.C. Johnson. I came on 1968, class 17th class. There was 12 of us in that class. This was during the time when you were hired, and the department waited until they got about 12 people before they had a class. I was on about 2 weeks, but there were people in the class that had been on almost 12 months before we went through training. Went through training. I'll just say I started at 5, and Bob Wooden, he was one of the silent group. He talked me into joining the department. I'd never even thought about the fire department. And first assignment was 5. Very first day, had a working fire. Very first assignment, cut a power line going to this house. After about 2 hours being hired. But I was assigned at 5, went to Central Station, the big house, stayed for about 10 years. I went from fireman not fireman 1 to fireman 2, driver, captain from there. From there I went to 10, stayed about 4 years, Station 4 about 10, 8 about 10, with the owner of the station. And I retired from the training center. I was assistant training officer.
Oh, see, why do they call you Suitcase Johnson?
It's a long story. It's in my thing.
Okay.
Suitcase Johnson is in there. And there was a little story about it. He said he stayed at 24 years, but there was a time he left out of. He was at the old Central Station, the big house, for a little while. I got him a thing of why he left. He and another buddy of his.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
My name's Larry Coble. I did 36 and a half years. I rode the squad for 7 years with Shoemake, and went through training with Jerry and Shoemake in the class of 72. Made the captain in 81, made battalion chief in 83. Had a short tour as assistant training supervisor, and then had a short tour as training supervisor, and then about 7 years as battalion commander, and then went back to battalion chief and retired in 2007.
Is it me? Jerry?
Go ahead, Jerry. You can do it again if you want to.
I thought I already did.
I said if you wanted to, I don't care.
We don't remember.
Sure, y'all. I look at all these guys, they were one guy in, you're even close to my age.
You got to put age on the
Wrong
table.
group.
And you was the oldest guy in our class, right?
Jesse Walker, class of 26, I believe. My assignments were, I came on in 1975. My assignments was Old Central Station, New Central Station, Station 15, which is 48 now, to 10, from 10 back to Station 1, from Station 1, well, I'm leaving out 7, from Station 1 to Station 7, from Station 7, I retired 2009. I had 38 years also. It's a privilege to have worked with some of these young people in here. And some of their children I actually did PT with, and they're still in the department.
Okay, this whole conversation's got me all confused because I don't know what I've been and what I've done because of all the smoke and all. My name's Danny Nelson, and my name is DB. So I'm D, and the guy to your right there is double D per Captain Duncan Newton Station 7 years ago. That's the only way you could identify both of us, if I remember correctly. But anyway, I served, I come on in 1969 before training class. I served with Gary Church and all, but another guy that's not here, myself, was hired previously and spent 6 months before we went to training online. I was initially old Station 1 for 1 day, and then to Station 9, and I think back to Station 1 as a rover for a while. Anyway, over the years, I actually, all of the transitions, I served at several different stations, and Station 7 was Shoemate and all, but I ended up being driver at Station 17, which was the city of Greensboro annexed 10 square miles, and we lived in a house up there, and that's a story in itself. But the end result, I ended up getting promoted when I was there to captain, which I retired as, and I went back to Station 1 the day that it opened at 1514 Church Street. So, and I retired at Station 16, which is now 52, over a task force as captain over with a rescue squad or whatever. And that was, I'd come on August 1st of 69, retired August 1st of 1999. So I am a 30-year career man to the day, no more, no less. So retirement meant really good to me. I still jumping up and down. Thank you.
Danny was Station 1 with me. I was his chief, but he was really the chief. He rode the car more than I did.
I wasn't going to say that. I didn't want to intrude.
You didn't tell, he drove the first call out there.
Yeah.
Well, I did drive the first call out of Station 1 the day it opened. Chuck Smith was driver on Engine 2, and he had everything left. I was driver on Engine 1 that was transitioned from 3 to 1 when they shut it down. And we went right, so Chuck had to follow me to the first call out of Station 1. So I'm still talking.
Larry Cockman, I had 32 years. I was in class number 20 with Cliff. Cliff was always the best in our class, always trying to catch up to him. He was good. I served as, let's see, Station 1, Station 6, 7, 4, 11. I served as training captain and training chief for about 15 minutes. But anyway, I had a good career. I would do it all over again, and I'm so thankful that my friends that came out today and participated in this roundtable discussion about our careers. And it is history, and it'll be a permanent part of our history. It'll be a link on our website, our retiree site, as well as our Facebook, and your kids and grandkids can look at this and say, there's my grandpa and my dad, whatever, and say, look, hey,
In my great case, great-grandchildren.
Great-grandchildren.
I forgot that part.
So, research, and I wanted to read this. It kind of goes hand in hand, actually about what we're talking about. Like I said, these are the baby boomers, and they're born between 1946 and 1964. That's kind of the generation that they go by numbers. Firefighting and emergency and medical calls has evolved across generations, influenced by technology, cultural shifts, and operational demands. Baby boomers like us, Gen X, millennials, and now Gen Z firefighters each face unique challenges shaped by their entry era, work culture, and society's expectations. Today, we have a group of baby boomers, retired GFD. We'll discuss our challenges, our highs during our 30-plus years of service to our community. A little bit about baby boomers and what we're supposedly like, and I think this kind of fits us. Of course, born between 1946 and 1964. We entered during the 1960s and 1980s. This is when a lot of us were hired. And firefighting then was highly manual, a lot of skills, hands-on training, really get it done, get in there and get the fire put out. Recruitment emphasized physical strength and endurance. We had to be in good shape, to do the job. Our basic gear was, hose, ladders, turnout gear, minimal electronics, not much technology. It came later in our careers. we had a strong sense of hierarchy and loyalty. Long-term careers were prevalent during and we all came here, stayed here. A lot of people don't do that now. They do move to a different job. Education and training was like hands-on training. We got more a lot of times, some of you went to a station before you went through training, which was very prevalent back then. For sometimes as much as a month or two, right, Gary?
6 months.
6 months before you. Yeah, 6 months. Our strengths was experience and resilience. Our challenges were adapting to technology and educational requirements. So those are some of the things that kind of were some of our challenges and some of our strengths. All right, let's just get
Larry,
started.
can I say something real quick?
You can say anything you want to.
Okay, you mentioned the baby boomers. This is why the department has given me the privilege to go out there and still do PT with the recruits. Your stories that you just told, I tell them about the turnout gear, the workout gear. They have shorts, t-shirts, and everything that's issued. We wore our clothes, and we took them home to our wives, and they had to wash our filthy clothes. The equipment they have is just unimaginable. So I spread that to them on a daily basis when I can, to let them know how fortunate they are to have what they have now. I've got to take them a helmet and let them see what the helmets we had then, with the helmets they had now. They were plastic. They were hard plastic.
Yeah.
So I want them to be appreciative of what we went through in this career and made it through. And I want them to respect what they've got now and be appreciative of it.
Turnout gear was turnout gear that was thrown away, and the boots had holes in them.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I mean, it was nothing new. And that's what I was thinking about when she talking about going to the stations. You'll never go back and get what the station life was like when we come on. Not even sitting here today compared to, it's a whole different story from what she's probably picked up. Yeah.
I think the picture that Gary said he brought with him will back all that up from our 19th training class, because the way I identify myself now in that picture is the fact is I had military.
We just got out of training. That was our graduation.
Upside down.
I had military khakis on. I'm sitting up on top in the white. That's the only way that I know who I am.
That was
because of the age and everything.
Yeah.
That is our training, 19th training class.
That was our graduation day, and the truck 2 come out.
Howard Woods jumping out.
We had to jump in a life net the last day. I said, "Oh my legs!"
So we carried stuff home, and our wives washed it and everything.
That's right.
That story they need to know.
That backs up
Yes,
what you just said. That's the reason I interjected there.
They've got it made.
Well, it's the glare.
Oh, yeah. Down to water bottles and backpacks and everything. I mean,
Yes, sir.
To back up what Jesse said, I remember when I got my clothes issued to me, my uniforms were so big that I couldn't wear them. I had to go to Sears and buy some blue pants to wear, because until they ordered clothes again, you didn't get none unless you go wear some baggy pants that were 3 sizes too big.
We went on class. My turnout gear, my pants was 38. I wore 20.
Turnout gear, when I came on, we came on, our turnout gear was black. They didn't change the yellow to about 1962.
I was gonna say, boy, you grow into it, don't worry about it.
You remember about the, when we used to get measured for uniform, made me think of a story. Bobby Shane, he said, he measured, he said, these 38s feel so good, just give me a 40. Because it was getting like we all at that time.
Now, interject again, because going back on your story where you talked about when we got hired, you had to meet certain requirements and everything, and there was a weight requirement back then.
Oh, yeah.
And it was 150 pounds, so I was illegally hired. I'd come out of Vietnam, and I weighed exactly 146 pounds, and they hired me anyway. I did not meet the 150 pound, but I still.
Chain around your neck like Barney.
I'm injected too.
No, you're fine. Really, these questions, anything we can talk about that come to mind, just speak up. That's what it's about. I want to, we need people to know what, like Jesse said, what it was like. What it was like when we came through, based what's going on now and future generations and generations, and generation to generation. Because they'll look at this one day and say, they did what? And they said what? And this is what,
Their normal is what they get now. They have no clue of what the past was. You've had the opportunity to really see every class change and what they get and what they do.
Tiny drove truck 3 at Station 9 and the steering wheel rubbed his belly. It was open cab, and I was worried about what he's going to be able to get us there because he was so big. The steering wheel was actually against his stomach when he was turning.
Cliff, you made me think of a story. I think you was a captain with Smith guy and call him Rook, and I had my dress uniform, chief's uniform, and I think Cliff put him up to this. It was a trash fire, and I was there. So he comes around with a straight treatment nozzle, and that stuff just goes all over. Remember that day, Cliff? And I think Cliff it splashed that stuff all, and the Rook thought I was going to fire him. I just said, what can I say? Anyway, it's funny how we'll spin off the story. Go ahead, Josie.
Well, I was going to say, we were speaking about dress uniforms. Now, dress uniform was dress uniform.
Yes.
White shirt, black tie, coat, everything, and you actually had to have it on at shift change.
8 o'clock.
And you had to have it on when you got off shift.
And
And you had to wear that white shirt and tie all day.
That's right. Yeah.
You'd come to a fire scene and you see firemen putting on that black turnout gear with their white shirt and black necktie on. It was.
Well, there for a while, anytime you left the station, you'd have to be in dress uniform. You
Yes,
had to go to the store,
Yeah.
dress uniform. You've already changed once.
And you better not be in that T-shirt like they are now.
You change the sheets once a week.
Yeah. Oh, you slept behind each other, same sheets. That's another thing. Yeah. You go in, this guy, you hope he was clean, but you had to sleep on his sheets. But as far as eating too, I think it was about $3 a day for the most part for both meals. I think it's up to $12 or $15 now, I think. Any other thing before, like I said, I'm going to answer a few.
No, you're talking about the weight, the weight requirement. When you
About
came,
what?
the weight requirement
Yes.
came on. I couldn't get past 143, 144, it saved my life. And I went down that day for the physical. I went by the bank and got 6 rolls of quarters and put them in my pocket. And so the nurse, she was rather robust and she had done everything. And she looked at me and she said, well, we need to weigh. And I'm just perspiring. And the scales was down at the end of the hall and she was sitting. And she looks at the scales, and she looked at me and said, 150. I said, right on the line.
That's funny. And the older we get, the braver we were.
The bigger the line.
I tell everybody I put out Davis Street by myself. When I got there, that thing went out. But anyway, we did. My first question is, to anybody, why did you want to become a firefighter? Anybody want to step up and answer that question? Anybody, why you want to be a firefighter?
Same reason you did.
That's what?
Same reason you did. Your brother.
Exactly. Yeah.
My brother, my uncle.
Yeah.
I figured if they can do it, maybe I can do it.
You were convinced about it from someone else. Like I worked a part-time job and there was a fireman there and he told some of the best stories about the fire department to all of us part-time people. And when the department started hiring, he said, you ought to go by and put in an application. I said, firefighter? I'd never been in a fire station. I can't remember ever seeing a fire truck. And he said, go by Central Station, put in an application. He told me today, and I did it. Like I said earlier, it was Bob Wood. We worked part-time out at Sears Mail Order. And about weighing, and when you put an application, they actually weighed you to see what you weighed. And I was thinking back when Ed was saying, I never got out 140 either. I know you can't believe it now. You can't get back to it. But he said, I'll call you back in a month, I put in the application, and I said, Chief, I have to gain weight. But when I went to get my physical, I probably gained 2 pounds. But the nurse said, 150, right.
Write it down.
I said, I've been trying every way I know how to gain weight, and I can't gain any weight, and I can't lose weight.
It's kind of ironic that story he told, you know, that mine is in line too. I worked at Sears Roebuck, Mellow.
Yeah.
I come out of Vietnam, Sears Roebuck. I was on the night shift. I didn't like it, couldn't take it. I went to Newman Machine. And a good friend of mine, y'all may remember his name, used to work here, Jimmy Turner, which was a cousin to Joe Anderson, which is passed now. And Joe told me about the fire department. And it all come together just like you say. And it's best decision through friendship, through knowing a fellow firefighter or somebody you knew. That's what brought me to this unforgettable career.
My brother, like Cliff said, and y'all all knew Raymond, and I think I was, I try not to get emotional because, you know, of course, he died on the job in '87, June 14th, 1987, 7:20 on Sunday afternoon. I held his hand when he died. He's a big influence on me. I always wanted to measure up to him. I used to wear my pants like him when there's 12 years difference there, but I always want to be. My mom said, I'd always, is this like my brother Raymond's? So, you know, we were close, and I know he was well thought of. I know that he was a big influence. Is the reason I got hired. I think about him quite often. I try to remember him every year on social media that this is the when it happened, and yes, he was a great big influence on me. Anybody else have any, Larry, stories why?
Yeah, I was kind of like OC. I never thought about the fire service, but my uncle was in the first black class in 1962, and I was getting out of the Army, and I wanted to be a police officer. And I told him to send me an application for the police department. And he sent me an application. It was with the fire department. I said, I don't want to be no fireman. He said, well, yes, you do. Yes, you do. So I filled it out, and I got out of the Army on Friday. He had me an appointment with Chief Powell on Monday. And everything else history.
You know, I was lucky enough to live next door to one of the nicest, sweetest training officers we ever had, W.H. Osborne, Bill. And he always had some of the guys out there at his home, Burnside, old Burnside and that bunch. And I met those guys, and I told my wife, I said, you know, these are a bunch of pretty good guys, except for Bill. I said, I believe I wouldn't mind joining in with that bunch, you know. I don't remember some of the other guys. I remember Burnside coming, and there was one or two more. But Bill was so nice that, you know, they pretty much let us know when we were in training that first time you're late, we don't even care. And the second time you're late, bring us a doctor's excuse. And the third time you're late, bring all the stuff you got. And you remember Jones?
Last day.
Yes,
The
sir.
last day.
Last day.
We're sitting in the training class, that glass window, and everybody's sitting in there, and it goes. I never will forget it.
I won't even.
Out of here.
Now come in.
Last day. Sent him
He
down
was
the
late
road.
coming in, and he had decent grades and everything, and Chief Kent said, when Robert comes in, send him to me.
And
He didn't, he come into class and got him, and he packed his stuff up and sent him home.
And we'd been cleaning all day that day.
In the garage.
I mean, some of the dirtiest cleaning you can do, and he stayed there all day for that.
Yeah.
And they was getting ready to give our assignments when they.
Yeah, that's what I never will forget this.
And these are the stories these rookies need to know, of people that hadn't been on long. They're true stories.
Oh, yeah.
You have to be on time.
That's right.
Rain,
If you're late,
sleet, snow.
yes. Now you got the snow coming up.
That's
They
right.
have been warned
Come in the night before.
the night before. If you got to sleep there, sleep there. These are the stories they know that we went through when we were on the department.
It didn't help that one day Chief Kent told Robert to take a paintbrush and paint, go up to the tower and paint those ridges, and he told Chief Kent he wasn't a painter. And so that started his snowball. And slowly, he was slowly living to death at that point.
Yeah, well, in my picture here, the reason I was selling insurance, and I liked outside work, and I got in that insurance thing, and my brother-in-law is Howard Wood, and so he came on, he's in the picture here. He was in my training class, but I went to, when I went to sign up, I went over there to...
We got a time limit on this
Okay,
story.
I'm
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
What I'm saying is, my brother-in-law was out here, and he just thoroughly enjoyed. He gave up a big salesman job to come in here, and I was making $650 a month. And the fire department was paying $432, and I was thinking about, do I need to change? But I wanted to change because I said, this sitting down and talking to people about insurance is a good thing. But I like playing football. I like doing things outside. And I told him, I said, I think I'm going to, I just went one day. I went down there and applied and didn't know where I'd get on or not. And after that, I finally told my wife about it. And so I said, I'm miserable. I've got to have something else. And and anyway, I said, we prayed about it. I remember both of us prayed about it. I said, I am miserable in this selling this insurance. When and Howard was having, he was a volunteer. So then he got on Greensboro. So I slipped up there and went into Central Station and applied. And then I thought, well, and that was December, about December 1. Well, they hired me by January 1. I couldn't believe it because what they needed that. Well, they hired 8 of us. And because we had to make that shift change after we got out of training, they're going to go from 24 on, 24 off to 24 on, 48 off. So they needed it. And one of the guys tried to quit, and the chief went over there and begged him to try to stay, and he wouldn't stay. So then we brought in 2 guys, T. Newell and Greer, to fill in for 6 months. I mean, they had to come back to training so we could have enough manpower. So I was just thinking about these things here that got me. This was the day we jumped in a net, and that was the last thing. And I thought to myself, I am not wanting to jump in that net. And I said, and the guys, there was 8 of them down there, and Mike Burke, we called him the squirrel. He's a flying squirrel because he was so light. And they're holding it, and they were saying, and to Jerry Toombs, and Jerry, he had been a skydiver. I mean, he jumped out of planes. Well, he looked just like a flying squirrel too, coming down. When they got me up there, they said, and I weighed 100 and I think I weighed about 195, maybe something like that. And I got up there, and every one of them was holding the net. Says, "Oh my lands!" I think I was about the heaviest one there. I said, Kent said, "Jump out, jump out." And I got on that windowsill, and I said, "Oh my lands, I don't know where I can jump out." He said, "I said jump out, and you got to do it." And it was the last day, and I done all that training. I said, "Oh gracious, what am I going to do?" And them guys saying, "Oh, I don't know where I can catch him or not." And I'm thinking, this is horrible. So all of a sudden, I said, "Okay." Well, I said, "Lord, I want this job so bad I'll die." So I jumped out, and he told me to kick my feet out, to start with. I jumped out, and my feet were going straight down, and they hit that, and they caught it, and he said, "Don't you ever jump like that with your feet straight down. What is wrong with you?" And he said, get back up there. I said, oh, Lord. So I got up there the next time, and I got my feet to come halfway out, but they hit first. And then he said, get off of there. And so, and then that's how that started. But I really got the job then, and I was thoroughly enjoyable having it there. I just remember I'm drifting just a little bit. Jerry Price, he come on after me, but the thing is, I remember Jerry Price. We played football. I was telling him I was a freshman on the varsity team, and I wasn't first string at all. But I got so pumped up about playing Northwest, and I said, "We're gonna beat those guys, and we're gonna tear them out." And we got up there on the stage and talked about it. Coach thought I was so fired up. He said, "I'm gonna let you start tonight." Lo and behold, I had to run into this big guy. He was a quarterback, and he had a lineman bigger than he was. And they blasted me about 3 plays. He got me out. So, but the key is, and I'm glad we got to see Jerry. But I remember he's a great baseball player too. But I'm just thinking about that. We've lost so many. I didn't have but 8, and we looked in here, and I'm just thinking, Jerry. It was Greer's gone, and then it was
Tommy Clark.
Tommy Clark got killed in a car accident. Pat Williams, he died.
Shot.
And got shot. And then Howard Wood's gone with cancer, and Jerry Toombs is really in bad shape right now. But I was amazed how many just in that smaller group have gone. And Kyle's behind there holding his helmet up. If you ever look at this over Perkins, he's still here, but he was holding his helmet up when we was taking that picture. And Chief Kent's gone, but Perkins, Kyle's gone now too. So, and Richard Johnson's the one, he was a captain on the truck there when they brought it up there. So that was my thing, the fear of that jumping in that net. And we don't even do that no more. They said after two stories, you break your leg or something. So
You had a picture of the net and all too, you didn't take it.
yeah.
And Gary has used up all his time. We want to use the next time. No, I'm just, I appreciate you doing it. You know who, Amy, we did our introduction. You know who this guy is right here? You know Chief Church? That's his daddy, Dwayne.
Can you tell he talks a lot too?
Yes, he and I have had very long conversations. Yes, we have.
He talks a lot too. I'll try to hold on.
No, you're fine. Let's talk about a call. A call that some of us have calls that have stood out in our mind. Yep.
One thing.
Yep.
I just really want to say this. Jesse Gray.
Yes.
The day I came on New Year's Day on 70, the first day, and we got there, and he got killed that night. Truck run over him. And 3 days later, our group had to go to his funeral, watching his wife cry. And I thought to myself, I don't know where I got in the right position to come to this fire department. Not kind of scary. And so that made, I guess, Danny, you remember if we went to the funeral over there and all that, that was tough to think about it. And we hadn't been home for 3 days. He made us go to the funeral.
He was our first, I guess, official line of duty death, Jesse Gray. Does any of you want to step up here and say which call? I mean, we all got ones that probably some of us the same call. Some of it. Anybody a call?
I would say the Greensboro Daily News Fire was a memorable call. I think we had like 5, 6 firemen got hurt on that call, and it was really nasty. I won't never forget that one.
Was the newspaper riding with you guys, you and Danny that day?
Yeah, they were.
You know what you've seen the famous picture of
Right, yeah.
Well, everybody accused me of not going in, but rubbing smoke and never going in the call. Just got there for the camera. Which,
That was a good shot. All of I think you was in there too, wasn't you?
Yeah, I was going to talk about another one, but that was the only fire, and I think I've said that before. I had a lot of fires and was in a lot with most of it, but that's the only fire, and it wasn't a lot to that because it was just ink going burning on the machine, but you couldn't see. But that's the only fire that I was ever scared of dying. When we when we come out and had to go down to get them, I never forget putting that ladder down there, going down there and thinking, we all gonna die right here. I mean, you just see the fire and the stuff down there and you're not knowing what you're going down there in. Like, why are we doing this? I mean, it was crazy, but Joey and a bunch of them were down there hurt, laying there, and all you could think was they were burning and you going down there, but that's a lot of fires that you were just more concerned about other things, but I can tell you, I was scared that day when we put that ladder down there and went down in there.
Jesse, were you on that call with Buddy Lamar? I was cabin on engine 2, we were first in, and Buddy, I think it was Buddy Lamar's first or second day on the job.
Okay, no, it wasn't.
And I said to him, I said, Buddy, we getting ready. I said, you know how to do, we're going to lay 2 lines in and 2 lines back. He was catching, I said, you know what to do? He said, I said, you better, because we're getting ready to do it right now. And I think he thought, is this the way it's going to be? All calls, but that was, like you said, a lot of smoke, not much fire.
Of course, Davy Street.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the one that I would think, but I was sitting here with Eddie and it just hit me sitting here, and Davy Street, Captain Boss was one of the main players down there, and I'll never forget, and we've talked about it on some of these things before, that when he says that he couldn't go in no further, then you knew that we couldn't do nothing else. I mean, that's officers, and I look around this room, and that's what I see with this group here. I mean, I'm just proud to be a part of this, because you firefighters, I mean, even though it may not be the story that everybody looks for, but I look around here and these were people, and I think about Eddie. I had just come off of being operations chief, and somebody else was promoted into it, and I was laying at home. A second alarm went off uptown on Elm Street. And it burned and it burned and it burned, and my radio went off, and I'm laying there knowing I'm not supposed to go because I'm not the deputy chief no more. And it kept burning, and it went on for about 30 minutes, and I'm thinking, I'm going up there. No, they ain't coming out, nothing's going on, I'm going. And I went up there, and I'm sitting there, and the battalion chief was sitting there, and the assistant hadn't still come that was supposed to be coming on call, because back then you were on call. And I went around back, and that whole back end was burning, and Eddie and them was inside. And I'll never forget, coming back around on Elm Street, Eddie come out, and he looked at me, and he said, Chief, we ain't got no blank business being in this building. And that's all it took. I didn't need to see anything else. I didn't need to hear anything else, because of the officer you were and what I knew if you could think we didn't need to be in there. So I went to the battalion chief and looked through the window then. I said, pull them all out. Pull them out now. And it wasn't 5 minutes probably that the whole back end caved in back there and collapsed. But that's what I said here when I think about fires. There's been a whole lot more, probably more dramatic. But when I sit and think about the officers and the people that I worked with side by side and worked for me, and I worked for some of them, that's what I see. And I didn't have an opportunity to tell Bob that, but since you're sitting here, I wanted to tell you that's the respect I had for you and a lot of other ones around here that I worked with, that all I needed to hear was I trusted you, and I trusted what you done, and you made a difference. You made a big difference.
That was one of the things that I was going to talk about. I made some notes about it. As a battalion chief, you know better than the officers that work for you. And just Jerry, Cliff, Jimmy, Nixon, Boss. I mean, those guys, when they tell you something, and I said that same speech at Cliff's retirement, when they tell you something, you could take it to the bank. And it just made you so much more comfortable when you roll up on the scene and you saw particular captains. Danny, I mean, I worked with a bunch of guys that just made my career. And any one of those guys could have took the job that I had. But I was just fortunate to work with guys like that.
Y'all remember the dispatcher, we used to call him the Works?
Yes.
Before. Well, I wasn't on duty for the Davis Street. I was home in bed. My phone rings. I said, hello, and it was him. He said, your brother said there's a big fire downtown. You need to go. And I said, am I supposed to go? You a firefighter? I said, yes. He said, there's a fire, I get my ass down there. So I thought I thought I was being seen. I get to 8, I can't get in, don't have a key. And then I remembered the laundry room window was closed.
Yeah.
I pushed it up, crawled through the window, got my gear, went down there. Who do I run into when I get there? Hal. I'm coming around the corner and Powell met me, Chief Powell met me. He said, Captain, I want 2 lines from right here. I said, Chief, I ain't got a truck. And he said, well, you stay right here and there'll be one here. And he went that way and I went that way. Well, we fought that fire that night. And so we came in the next morning. So we actually, they relieved me because they didn't want to pay overtime. I said, ain't no money. But anyway, they sent me back to the station. I rode with the county unit the rest of the night. Well, I didn't get back to the station about 5 o'clock. And then, of course, we turned right around and go relieve them. So we had that fire. We're coming back at noon and get dispatched to a house fire, and we were 10-7. But Dale called the driver. He said, Captain, we can get there. We can get there. I said, we ain't got but 100 feet or 2.5 and 1 inch. He said, we can do it. We can do it. We rolled in, lost 2 people in that house. Wow. In 24 hours, I thought more fire than I ever can imagine.
This kind of reminded me, going back to some of these stories about fire and police. We're all servers and all that, but knowing that each one of you's got each other's back. Police, now I think it probably happens today, they will not hardly go into a burning building. Firefighters, every one of you would follow me right in there right now, I know that. And the other side of it is, I was Vietnam. I served 13 months over there in a real bad zone. I don't want to get shot at. And I would go back to an apartment down on English Street. We had a call down there. We got there, it was a fire upstairs. And when we got there, they said, there's a man with a gun up there. And we all pinned against the wall. We backed up against the wall and the police run up the steps and drug that guy down. So that's a good example about the camaraderie and what you're saying and everything, how you trust each other. Those people in the basement, we need to get out of here. We haven't got no business, all that. It all comes back to play about the professionalism of the fire, police, and the servers, whatever.
Cliff, you got a call? I know one that you were first in on. I came in the morning, that's one really I was going to talk about, affected me a lot. The campus walk. Now where they lost the college kids.
Yeah, it was,
Now you were first in, tell us about that.
Okay. Well, we got there, they was jumping out of windows.
Jumping out of the windows.
I've seen more firemen that catching girls breaking their fall.
Yeah.
And actually, I think 8 was first in because
Terry Hahn.
Yeah, Chief. I mean, it is Chief now, but Johnson set up a deck gun. But yeah, you seen a lot of strength there, and a lot of. They still come. Before I left 5, there's 3 teachers that come there on the anniversary and bring cookies because we saved them. But Eastern Gifford was another one. Why we didn't lose somebody there, I don't understand.
Yeah. We all got the call. That campus walk was, I came in that morning, I got too close to one of the dads. His daughter was still in there, and they hadn't got him out yet. And he was leaning over his car, crying over his daughter, and I went down and he started talking about his daughter. It resembled all the things my daughter was doing, and I thought, oh. So got real close to him and we prayed. And when I got off that morning, one of my sons was still home. He said, Dad, you had a rough night, or a rough shift. And I said, yeah, I came into this call and I got too close to this guy. Usually we don't get as close, we try to do our job, move on. We're compassionate, but we don't. And I had 1 year left before I retired, I think it was, maybe 2. I never did this. I started crying. I couldn't quit for 15 minutes there today. It just bothered me. They asked me to speak at the service at the college, but you know, I've been on a lot of calls like all of you have. We can go to a lot of different things, be here all morning talking about our calls, bad things we've seen, but that one bothered me. I got too close to that person, but maybe God put me there. I don't know, to pray with him, but but you guys, when y'all got there that night, that was, I can't imagine what you had to go through seeing all that. Has anybody else got another call?
I got one of them to say. I was fortunate enough, the way I look at it, to have been on both tanker train collisions in Greensboro. They've only had 2. And the first one is bad. I mean, it was bad. It killed all 4 of them as dead, the conductors and all that inside the train. We got there because we was eating lunch. Teeters was over at the station that day, and we saw the smoke and heard the collision. But anyway, we couldn't do much for that one, but the one I'm speaking of is I was working first in on the second one when I was at 16, tanker train collision, and a tanker got hit, and he was still stuck on the railroad there at Swing Road at this one. And we got there, we laid lines going in because I had a rookie, I think it was, driving. I told him what to do. I said, it'll be all right, you know what to do here, and told him, just so we'd have a supply for foam and all. And but we got there, where I'm getting at is inside the cab, there's a driver still living. He was still hollering, screaming. The whole cab was enclosed with flames. Roger Brooks and me was working together, and Roger was on the other equipment. And we run up there, we had the phone line. I told him, I said, we can get you out of here. Just stay where you at, don't get out. He was pinned in. And Roger run and got us air pack. And we were spraying foam all over the cab while he was in there, and just told him, we're not gonna leave you, you'll be fine. We threw him an air pack in there so he could put it on him. Of course, we couldn't get to put it on, but he knew what to do with it. And just said, just hang tight. And then once we got the fire knocked down, we was able to get him unpinned. But that, to see him inside that cab, a whole gasoline tanker going. And we know what the outcome was going to be with the equipment, but getting him out was something.
Anybody else?
I've got one. It's the stations I was at. I had a lot of them. But the one that I remember the most wasn't so much the fire, but what was said after the fire that stayed with me my whole career. Out of the fire district, my first call. Years ago in the 70s, it was a big deal to be allowed to drive. You wasn't made to drive, you were allowed to drive the fire truck when you proved that you knew the truck, you knew the territory. This is my first day driving the Deuce, engine 2, right out of Central Station. Called in the fire district about 6 o'clock. Call come in, house fire. We go to front of the station, we can see the smoke. It was about 4 blocks from the station. Larry Brothers there, he was the driver, but he was on the back. I was driving the truck. You know, when everybody left out of Central, you got engine 1, engine 2, truck 1, truck 2, rescue truck, everybody going down the street. Station 5's coming, engine 4's coming. We get there, Captain said, well, hold back a little, engine 1's gonna lay line, we're gonna catch a line on the same hydrant. We did, caught a line. We get there, fire's coming out of the second story windows. We had to rescue people. Engine 1 laid the line, engine 2 followed up later. And I'm sitting there, the driver on engine 1 come by, he's got reduced water flow coming from his hose. I ain't got water yet. He says, you're sitting on my feeder line. Engine 2 is pulled up, and our back wheel is actually sitting on part of engine 1's 3-inch feeder line. Move that truck. You can remember, it was Tommy Morrison. He said, well, I said, I ain't about to move this truck.
Not with all this to do.
Because I stopped, Chief Honeycutt was there, he had already come around the truck, said, we're gonna lose this house next door if engine 2 don't get some water on it. If Brown was in Cup, he said, oh, so what's wrong? I said, I can't get the truck's not prime. He said, you laid the line. I said, well, I can't get the hose out the back of the truck because the water had gone into the hose bed before I got stopped and got back there to put the hose clamp on. I said, You don't know saying you run at the pump, you run back and look, you run to the pump, you don't know what to do. By that time, Raymond got there and he said, hey, I got it. He said, it's, with much hose we hit on these trucks, it's not much, so he just pulled off and done it. Anyway, you know, we put the fire out eventually, because this was my first Dept. We had a fire Dept that too. So I'm feeling really bad when we get back to that station. Everybody's there about 1 o'clock at night. This happened right at around 6. And I'm sitting there in the dumps, because, hey, my first driving job on the Deuce. I'm sitting on the engine's hose. I can't get water because the fuel line is stuck in the hose bed. But I'm sitting there in bed, and the assistant chief come by and said, OC, if that's the worst you do, you'll be okay. And I kept that with me, and I told a bunch of people that through my career that, hey, as long as you're doing your best, hey, if that's the best you can do, all the worst that happens when you're doing the best you can do, hey, you'll be okay. And I kept that. I'm up talking, bragging after that, because soon as we got water, hey, I was bumping like crazy. But first call, I mean, golly, it was so awful. Everything went wrong, you know, but.
I can't give you a particular call. I'll just say any call you go to the chief partner.
He made it. He was wide open, big time. Everything was big.
But you know, there's the big difference, one of the difference between what she's interviewing and looking at now, and it goes back to what Jesse's been saying. Back then, you had to worry about laying 2 lines in. One of them might be a 3-inch and one to 2.5. You're gonna lay 2 in, 2 back, go back to the tighter. Now, it don't matter whether it's a car fire or a big building fire, they lay 1 line in, a big hose. I mean, it's just been a big change, takes the pressure off of you as an officer. Yeah. You know what you're gonna lay, but back then, you didn't know whether you're just gonna lay 2 in, lay 2 back. I mean, it just.
And talking about driving, I think most of us, if not all of us in here, were drivers at one time. You had to know your territory, and you had to know your jump streets, whereas now you got the
GPS.
Technology is advanced. It almost tells you where to go, how to go, where to turn, all this stuff, and the pressure is not as much on you as being a driver, and you better know your streets back then. Because
You kept a map. Somebody's in the buddy seat with a map all the time.
When we got behind Collins, when he was the captain, he was going down the street and he'd pull up on the side of the road. Somebody said, what are you doing? He said, you gotta go in front, we don't know where we're going.
Standard procedure, I mean, you go to fire station, any fire station, you see a cardboard piece of cardboard with a map on it. What's that for? You know, but now you can't find one. You won't find one.
I'm not sure about any of you guys, maybe somebody did and I didn't know it later on, but see, I went out in the new annexed territory when they first annexed it, and that was a real experience. Everywhere I went, every call we wrote, you know, we don't do it that way, we don't do that.
It's like the Newfield, Ron Charles, Bobby, and Bob.
Yeah.
Dylan, Rongo, Helen, Alexander, and Yolborough. I still know that. That's what you did.
We had a call out there, and there was a little old lady, she didn't weigh 80 pounds, and she wasn't 5'2". And she had a line of leaves as long as this building right here, burning, right in the middle of the day. And everybody in the neighborhood had already called us. And I went out there, and I said, now this is gonna be good. And I walked down there to her, and she came and she's standing there, and she looked at me, she said, what do you want, you son of a bitch? Well, this is gonna be a good one. And I said, well, they got a few rules about burning in the city like this. Maybe I need to do some checking. And I said, I'm about to send it to the police sergeant. And I just backed up about 10 minutes. Here come this policeman. Policeman from Florida. She said, well, here comes another son. What do you want? And I'm standing there, and when I left, he was like this. He said, I'm telling you, if I have to come back down here, you're going to jail. This woman about this tall and about this big around. I mean, and that was just one of the times we had. We had time out there with some of them people.
We had one time when a guy was burning trash in a barrel. We went down and we told him, you can't do it in the city. And I said, he said, well, why can't you burn on? I said, well, you gotta have a grill. You got a grill and all. So didn't think anything about it. Went back to the station. It wasn't 20 minutes. Right back to the same house. Get down there. My man's burning this trash. He got him a grill and a hot dog. We come walking out, and that hot dog was black. And he said, that's my grill. That's my hot dog. I said, yeah, and we're going to stand here and watch you eat it. He said, we'll put it out.
We'll watch you eat it. Chief Honeycutt told me one time, I've followed you 7 times, I've been wrong 7 times. I said, Chief, you know what that tells me? I said, what's that? You need to be leaving. That's right.
I'll tell you real quick, Cliff, nobody I ever worked with, rode with, was as good as Bob. Bob could tell you every twist, every turn, and he'd go out and ride it at night.
Oh, yeah.
He said there's 2 territories, daylight, nighttime. And Bob,
That's true.
if Bob opens in front of you, you were
I
solid.
know more soft drinks than the world allows up Central. That's what our class was every day. And Bob said, yeah, state territory. We go in there, and the one that missed the most, and I was just up there for a while out of training, didn't know, I barely knew where Green Street was. Bob, the loser would have to buy us a soft drink. I bought him more soft.
Oh, yeah, he likes that.
Yeah,
He was the best.
he was good.
Amy, you can jump in anytime. I'll tell you, we're just here telling our stories, so that's what this is about.
Yeah, I do have one question. Just an open question. What is one thing that you learned early in your career from an officer or someone, you know, who you learned from that stayed with you your entire career?
Chief Powell told me when I made captain, he said, we'll back you in everything. The only bad decision is no decision.
Yeah,
It's pretty good.
Same thing, but I was, well, I guess it was early in my career, I was a company officer, and the way I handled something got all the way to the office. And when I left the office, he turned, Chief Powell looked at me and he said, I said, is there anything else you want to know, Chief? And he said, well, Captain Shoemate, he said, you got those people that walk along in front of you. He said, you have to pull them back beside you. He said, you got those guys behind you that you have to reach back and pull them up beside you. He said, the ideal thing is just walk along beside us. And I thought, well, which guy am I? Am I the guy? But what he was saying was work with me.
Yeah.
Don't get ahead of me and don't stay back there doing nothing, but just work with me. And so that kind of stayed with me, that it didn't work all the time. I was always trying a little bit ahead, I thought. But yeah, he always spoke in parables. And so I'll never forget him saying that. And I thought, okay, I get it.
That's good. One of my captains, my first captain, he impressed upon me the importance of knowing where your equipment was on the truck. I think you know who I'm talking about, O'Farrell. And how to use it, and everything, just everything. How many nuts was on the lug nuts was on the wheel and all that stuff.
Yeah, that's right.
And I mean, it was. I mean, he had grilled me.
He was a great.
But one thing I know, I probably shouldn't say this. I remember one thing that Chief told me one time. The chief, he said, "Captain Coleman, you're really doing some really good things. Have you ever heard of an attaboy?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "You ever heard of an osh?" I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "You know, 25 attaboys is equal to one osh. You just got an osh." I don't know why that stuck in my mind, but it's like we've all had those things happen to us.
Can I say something about Chief Powell?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I'll never forget the day I was promoted to battalion chief, and I told him, I said, Chief, I'll give you 100%. And he just looked at me and he said, Chief Coble, sometime 100% is not enough. And that always stuck with me.
When we got promoted, there was no ceremony. They called you downtown, and you went down there, and I had Chief Powell, Chief Kent, and Chief Coble sitting in there. And when I made captain, it was the second list I was on. I was number 16. They cut it off on me on the first one. When I was next, and they cut it off.
Oh, God.
So everybody says, oh, you're going to be right at the top of the list if you make it again, so you pass it. I'm 16. We didn't see 3 people leaving. I said, well, it's going to be the list number 3. But anyway, Powell and them was sitting there, and Chief Powell said, 16 don't look too bad today, does it? I said, it looks a whole lot better than it did 18 months ago. But the thing I remember most about it was walking out of Station 1 and running in the car. And he said, so you got your little white hat? I said, you know the best thing about this, Kyle? He said, what's that? I said, I'll never work for an like you.
Oh,
Maybe
that was really good.
I mean, I don't know if that's what you wanted. We've all had our officers and drivers and senior firefighters through our careers that's helped us along the way. You know, we can name it, we'd be here all day, each one talking about different ones. And some of them are the same ones, and some are not. But some we looked up to, and we followed and valued. Well, it's like we were talking about. I think if somebody, Danny said, if Jerry said it's right. If it's bad, it's bad. But of course, there's a guy in this room one time. I said, I ain't call his name. I said, we need to get out of the building. It's not good. And he told me 20 years later that he ignored that. He went back in the building and he said it was bad. I ain't gonna call his name. I ain't gonna embarrass him. He said it's a thing. And he knows who he was. We'll leave it there. My next question is any traditions or rituals or things that you miss about the firehouse? You know, does anybody want to miss any?
I know one that it was really upset. You remember when we always had to wear our uniforms, and you remember John Loy? Well, he loved wearing his uniform in and uniform out. He'd always go to the restaurant with his uniform after he got off. And they said that we didn't have to wear, we could wear T-shirts. He got so upset because he couldn't have to. He said that's ridiculous, because he missed wearing his uniform down to eat at breakfast after he got off. And I got to thinking, well, he was a prideful person, but that was he really got upset because we started wearing T-shirts.
I think I miss personally myself, and I know you all, firehouse kitchen table. You know, like this is the kitchen table today is what we're doing basically. You get there, and did y'all miss that, being around? And what about the games we played? See, the game you played to see who washed dishes lasted longer, 2 hours when you got the dishes done in 15 minutes. But, I miss that more than anything. Y'all got any other things you missed?
The guys don't eat together anymore, from what I understand. And Sunday morning was the meal.
Oh, yeah.
You cooked breakfast and you talked, and I don't think anyone, unless you haven't been where we've all been, understands that was family.
Yeah.
You were a surrogate family in there, and
It's like a psychologist.
It was.
After a bad call.
Let me say this, and I got somebody here can witness it. I went in Vietnam, like I say, spent the time over there. I come to Station 7. Danny Shoemate was over there, and we had a new rookie. His name was Paul Brooks. I'd never been short-sheeted in my life. And we did everything together. We cleaned the truck together, we checked equipment together, we cooked together, we eat together, everything, and we went to bed together. And that particular night, we went to bed together, and both of us were short-sheeted. by Paul Brooks. Am I correct?
Oh, yeah.
And Paul sat over and apologized for me for about 20 minutes. He pulled a chair up, apologized to me, and I told him, I said, I'm not going to accept the apology unless my buddy does. He went over and took the chair, went through the same thing. I still can't believe how long an apology it was, almost word for word. When he got through, I remember Shoemate saying, my buddy didn't accept the apology, I'm not going to. He slept without anything that he belonged to him at night because it all went to pick up trucks out in the parking lot. He slept on his turnout gear, even his bed disappeared. Am I telling you right? So that's the way camaraderie works.
He never short-sheeted no more.
He never short-sheeted nobody else.
I think I certainly miss, Jimmy was talking about beforehand, I miss the sitting around in the morning time and the lunch and the coffee in early mornings. But I really miss the times that the holidays when we'd have the families over.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if they even do that anymore, but when you worked a holiday or Sundays, the family would come over, everybody's family, you sit and eat, and over at 8, we'd had all 3 shifts come back for the holiday and bring food and set them out there. And I mean, that just brought the holidays, it made you closer. I mean, it was just like family.
That's right.
Another thing is, I miss the hot dog. Membership we had on Saturday. I mean, it was just a tradition. We're gonna have hot dogs on Saturday. We're gonna go to church on Sunday. and just like Eddie said, I don't think they eat together anymore. And I think, like you said, that's what pulled family together. And that's how we kind of dealt with stress. I know one of the questions was how we dealt with all the stress and the stuff that we saw. And we did it around that kitchen table, whether it was lunchtime or 2 o'clock in the morning. And we kind of, had to make jokes about it because we didn't have anybody to talk to back then. You had that on your shoulders, and we counted on one another to kind of, get by that gap. So they're not as close like that anymore. And I know they go to work and they finish their shift and they go home and they don't get back together anymore. We did. We played golf. I helped build like 3 houses to dry in. It's just golf trips. We did things together, and it just, made your bond so much stronger.
My son-in-law, your son, I think they still do some of that, but just not as much. Do you agree with that?
We're not there, so we don't know.
Right.
But I think you hear enough and you see enough to know that it's not like it was.
When we were there was maybe 170 live people.
Yeah.
And now there's what, 400 or 500?
Yeah.
I mean,
600. That's gonna make it difficult.
You come by the station, if I was off, I'd come by the station and eat with the group. I mean, the next shift, we were just we had Christmas parties, we had things at the Elks Club. I mean, I don't know any of that. I'm not there, but I don't see that. But certainly I'm sure there's a group of them and some of them that do. But no, I think that's how you dealt with things. And just like now. I'm tickled to death to see everybody again today. That's
Brings back a lot of memories.
yeah, it does.
But you get a lot of family support too. If you had a dog getting married, you can count, you're gonna have
Somebody come in,
you have
somebody
death in the
work for you.
family.
You knew who was pregnant, who was gonna have a kid, you knew all about it.
If somebody was in the hospital.
Watch your kids grow up. You seen them have, and I always said, well, Jimmy just done it when we come in here. How's June? What's going on with her?
How's she doing?
They thought as much of her as they did me, maybe more.
It's like a family, if you think about the fire department was, our first family, then our second family. It's like,
Yeah.
you think some of your toughest challenges while you were there? What was, whether it's when you started or, I'll just throw one out first and you go. My toughest challenge for me was when computers came and I had to learn computers. And it was, even though it sounds easy.
You left, that's how you did it.
Yeah, that's right. You're ready to go, So that was me. But anybody else, go for it. Anything else?
I'll say this, one of mine was, when you come on in the 70s, you pretty much learn from tradition. You knew what your captain knew. You learned from him. He taught you what to do. when we started introducing specialization, hazmat, rescue, we started getting some really smart people on the department. You as a captain have to adjust to different input, ideas. I don't mean being on hazmat. We got some guys that, college educated guys, been to school, been to college, knew hazmat up and down, but yet you're their supervisor. You have to learn to accept someone else's opinion. Because I had to come up with a new one of my own, a new saying, because I did start asking their opinions on stuff. But I did have to come up with, just because I asked your opinion don't mean I didn't have one. I did have to come up with that because, asking a person what their opinions are, sometimes, they get too energetic and think that, hey, just because I got an opinion on how something should be done, this is the way it should be done. But I said, no, I appreciate your opinion, but the decision is still mine. But you had to learn that because coming up from the old school, it was never like that. Your opinion didn't matter nothing to your old captains.
That's right.
You did things the way it was always done.
I'll say this, your opinion is still important to you, but the younger people's opinion, you're still wrong.
Yeah.
Okay.
They still want you to do it their way.
Well, they have a better way.
Nowadays compared to then.
Yes.
And our ways worked,
Yeah, it worked.
even then.
I wonder if we were like that in the older generation when they looked at us when we were young.
Probably so.
I'm sure.
How many of you guys worked with Tommy Morrison? Any of you? Best guy.
Yeah, he's great.
And I'm sitting down at 11 and the phone rings, and it's his wife called down there and said she needed a roof on her house. And I didn't do a thing, but I think I wrote it on the blackboard. I didn't even call around. I said, we're gonna put a roof. I asked her then, I said, do you have the shingles? Or you want us to get the shingles too? She said, the shingles are here in the driveway. I wrote it on the board, I think. But anyway, I didn't call a soul. I just told 2 or 3 guys, we're gonna put a roof on Tommy Morrison's house, such a day. And we had so many guys out there that wouldn't let them all on the roof at the same time.
I was on the roof.
Yeah. And she was gonna cook hamburgers and hot dogs, her and her neighbor, for lunch. We took the shingles off of her house and put the new ones on it before they had lunch ready.
Wow.
And I told the same story sitting right here to Carter, and I think Wolf was here, Hokey was here, and I think we ended up putting him in charge of the job out there that day. We needed somebody to tell everybody to do this or that. But anyway, Matt come up and he said, I can tell you what, Price, he said, if that happens now, he said, you better come out here to the Fireman's Club and tell them that you need somebody. He said, ain't no need to tell them at the station. He said, hell, they can't get one company to go help them. Oh my God.
Tommy had cancer.
Yeah.
I mean, coming along, we had so much change, you had to adjust and you had to learn how to adjust. But the one thing I thought about that question with me was when I become part of the administration, my passion, the way I love the fire department, I fought and argued everything with passion. And you had to have justification, not just passion. I mean, you get in there and argue about things and do because you felt that way, but that didn't get it with the chiefs and the other people in the room. City Hall, you had to have justification. And sometimes I would fight hard for something and keep going, and I should have shut up. Yeah. And I never forget, Chief Hilliard told me one time going in the staff meeting, he said, I'm gonna tell you what I'm gonna do. He said, when you start to go overboard, he said, I'm gonna roll back and you shut up. He said, you've won your battle, shut up. He said, so I forget what it was, we were in there arguing and going over it, I done lost it again. I was arguing with passion and not justification. And so when it was over with, I go out there, I said, why didn't you? He said, I backed up 4 times and you ain't paid no attention. He said, I'd go back and I'd come back, I'd go back and come back. But that was the biggest thing for me is to try to, hey, everything we had to have. I remember when we first got phones, them old big satellite phones, the justification of why a battalion chief had to have, everything had to be justified, and it was hard for me because my thing was it made sense. Just go get them. It made sense that you had to have these things. But it become trying to justify everything was a real challenge.
Like you said, but we don't know when that started. Does anybody know when that actually started in Greensboro?
I mean, we're supposed to ask, you just done it.
Well, I mean, yes, but who
It
started?
preceded us, but I don't know how many years back.
Probably the
I have
World War II
no
group.
idea.
The World War II group probably started.
Probably the World War II group.
My uncle was on during 1940,
And then we're doing
and they was doing it then.
1940s?
I think right after I retired, it's good because of being responsible and being on time. For a good while after I retired, I would actually wake up every morning and say, I'm late.
Yeah.
I would do that, like I done missed that obligation. I went through that, and that's all I got to say about it.
I think me and Danny, we talked a little bit just now about some of that stuff. To me, this kind of give you a chance to just sit back and know how lucky you are, how blessed you are. Maybe I should say blessed, because the man's been good. And now when you wake up, that's a highlight. And when you see all of our buddies that have passed, we was talking about the number that's passed this year. I think back when we was younger and working and getting up all hours of the night, that was just part of our life. That's what we chose, and we had to make money. You had to make money, not that, but when you got off, you went to another job. All of us went to another job, 30 years worth, I did. But now you got a chance to, I realize how blessed I am. I realize how blessed to see what family I've got. And I'll try to make the best of it every day. Sometimes I can't say I pass every day, but I'll try to.
I make my bed every morning before I leave. Just like I did at fire department. I made it every morning when I got there. I make it every day.
I was gonna say, I don't know about some of you, but after 20 years, I still fight that third day. I'm still hustling because I gotta go to the station that third day. It's just something that gets ingrained in you, and it's hard to get rid of. It's just hard to shake.
That community service, I've been volunteering ever since I retired. Sometimes I wonder how do I have time to work.
I think it was hard once you first retired, first couple of years, to change your focus and your purpose, because you were really looking after each other, you was looking after the departments, you was trying to make ends meet and doing things, and I think it took a while to refocus, and Jimmy and I was talking, I think now the focus is my family and how to take care of them and the grandkids and your wife, and doing things that to try to get the most out of life before the end of it. I don't think at the time, I think sometimes we're putting them, the job before your family, and when you left, you was trying to find that purpose because you're so used to making decisions and doing things on the spur of the moment, and that took an adjustment because I don't know how many of you still trying to make it. Your wife would talk to you about something and you was trying to fix it. I was still trying to fix it. That caused more problems because they don't want it to be fixed, and so you had to learn how to adjust to family life every day and put your focus on them in a way that didn't step on them at the same time and try to rule their life. But so yeah, I think it's been an adjustment. You were kind of content and kind of in a you just done it by habit, and or when you all of a sudden walk out that door, now what? And you didn't realize it. And as Jimmy said, now I realize that God was looking after me before I ever thought about Him. He was blessing me at times that He wasn't even in my mind. And I feel very fortunate now to understand that and know that and try to serve Him and my family and friends and people.
Anybody else?
Anybody ever have nightmares of thinking that you don't have your equipment on your truck?
God.
You get on it and I wake up.
Or doing your logbook.
Yeah.
I wake up thinking, you do my logbook.
Yeah.
That's exactly what, I've done that too. I said,
Do you have you ever dreamed you're fighting fire and you can't get it done and you wake up and I gotta get this, you know, I do that
and
sometimes.
now I wake up and that hits me. I said, oh man, I'm retired. I don't have to worry about that.
I think my family misses it more,
You know,
as much as I do.
another thing, I'm sorry, Cliff's got one.
I said my family misses it as much as I do, because all my grandkids, they call me Captain. I mean, seriously, because they spent so much time in the fire.
That's right.
They think that's my name. I wish they didn't call my wife Chief.
That's right. One of the things I think too, a lot of us, I know, you're there and you feel like you're doing good things to help people, then you go from that to watching The Price is Right. And you feel like, well, some of you might not, I don't know. But I'm just saying, for me, I got into coaching to help me make a difference in people's lives. What advice would you give a young firefighter starting out in their careers today? Anybody, if you could give them just, I mean, it's a lot. Jesse already mentioned, what'd you say, Jesse?
Okay, some of the advice I can give, and this has really helped me from then to now, and I must pass it on to some of the younger generation. I had a privilege to work with some of the first black firefighters that were hired for the city of Greensboro.
Oh, yeah.
And that helped me more than anything else. Percy Bigelow, if he would see me do something wrong at station one, come on, we're going to the boot room. And he would sit me in there, we would talk about what he saw me do wrong. Leo Caldwell, all those young men I had the privilege of working with them.
Right.
OC, fight fire and save lives.
That's right.
That was one of his mottos. Larry, worked with him at Station 1.
Lynn McLaughlin?
Yes, Lynn. Yeah. A lot of those guys I was able to work with. So that really made an influence on me to do that. And not only the blacks, but white. Woody Parrish, Chuck Smith. When Jake the Snake passed, you know what I did with the rookies? I said, one of my friends has passed. Get on the floor, we're gonna do some push-ups, and Jake.
That's right.
When Roger passed, the same thing. Letting them know that one of my friends didn't have to be black, but it's white. And they made an influence, it really made an influence on me. They really did. Chief Shoemaker, do you know your first call at the battalion chief where it was?
Gosh, no, probably not.
Lee Street. It was on Lee Street.
Oh, really?
Yes, sir. I remember. It was a house fire.
Okay.
On Lee Street.
It burnt down.
But, you know, Liam, he and I have bond. We've been bond since many, many years, and we still bond. Big Bird.
Oh, yeah.
Hilliard. You know, I've got Higgins' number, and I call him every now and then.
I just talked to
Big
him.
Bird, did you? Big Bird. Yes, I will. I'll get it to you. But those things, I look back at, you know, with the Lord blessing me also, I cannot leave him out. He's taking care of us. And, you know, do I miss it? Kind of do, yes. Can I make it without seeing a truck go up and down the road? I can. I got plenty to keep me busy. But I still want to be involved to give something back from the way that you all have given me.
Well, that was very good. Yes. Anybody else advice for a young firefighter? Larry?
Don't beat the chief in a card game.
That's pretty good advice. Don't be, we know the backstory on that.
Oh, yeah.
Anybody else? Well, young, Larry's got one.
I kind of got one
listen
point
up.
I want to make
I'm listening.
from a supervisory standpoint. And I was starting to see it change a little bit when I got ready to retire. We all know when we were supervisors and everything, we tried to discipline people in a fair way. And just change the behavior, but not ruin a person's career. And when I was getting ready to leave, I saw that kind of escaping the department. I mean, it's like a cutthroat, I'm gonna make a name for myself. And it wasn't about, you know, to discipline a person and being fair about it. And I don't know if it's gotten worse, but I know we did that. If a guy made a mistake, you didn't ruin his career. You did just enough to change the behavior and move on and give that person a chance. And I don't know if it's that way anymore. And that was one of the reasons when I left, because I saw that changing. There was no brotherhood. There was no protection of guys that you knew were good firefighters, and they made a mistake. So I don't know if that's the way it is, but it looked like it was changing that way when I left.
Who's the first person you wrote up?
Oh, Lord.
I would say, one thing. One thing I would say today is pretty much the same thing I said when I was working to all the young people. Don't let glass ceilings be over your career. Decide early if you want the fire service to be your career, and do what's necessary to advance, so you don't get to retirement age and be bitter because you can't or didn't move up. Know what you want. Decide this is where you're going to stay and retire. Know what the department is requiring of you, and get that education that you need, or experience, or certificates, or whatever is required, so that if a position comes open, there's nothing holding you back from making it. That keeps you from getting discouraged, because every year that go by, I used to tell folks, you know, there's a window of opportunity, and the longer you wait, the smaller that window gets, because everybody that comes along is smarter than you.
Yeah.
One thing that I would say, kind of along what you're saying too, we've all got stories in our career that maybe we felt like it wasn't supposed to be done like that. And I would say to every young firefighter, don't get caught up in that if you can. Not do it, because I would say don't get bitter, get better, and keep trying to improve yourself. We all had things happen in our careers that that's because we're dealing with people, but just don't get bitter. We've seen people that go there and leave there and get really bitter, and that's not because of something happened. But I had a firefighter tell me one time, he was on and on and on. I said, have you got about an hour? I got something I want to tell you about. But he was about, and I listened, but we all got stories.
Well, you think that sometimes because we don't know them, but you think that they come on looking for retirement. I mean, they come on looking to leave. I mean, where we build relationships. I would say build relationships, have fun, enjoy your job. Yeah. I mean, one of the questions you got on there was who was your best friend? Well, that's hard. That's hard. When I looked, I thought whether they believed it or not, I had everybody I worked with was like a best friend, and it stayed that way. My training class. I mean, if I needed something today, I could call and ask and do of anybody I worked with. Now, they may not consider me their best friend, but I couldn't pinpoint one person. Everybody I worked with at that time, I felt like we were close, we'd done things together, and still today, sitting around here, I think, what a blessing. That's what they need to do. Enjoy the job and the challenges, and take on the challenges, not be sit there bitter and looking at excuses and things. Just enjoy the job.
I think one thing that's changed that surprises me now, and I don't understand, I've never had a feeling that way of disliking a job. I might have been upset a few times, I might have been angry a few times, but I love my job. Right. Even the worst parts of it, I love the job. Anything bad happened to me, I brought it on myself. I know what the situation is. But what bothers me now, and I see a bunch of firemen about every day somewhere, Charlotte says, you see somebody everywhere you go. I went to the bank over here off Pisgah Church Road, and I've never been on that side of town all my life except years ago. And a guy kept staring at me as I was going, what the? Get Williams? And as, I can't even think of the boy's name now, but anyway, I said, yeah, how you doing, man? You know, shook his hand, went in and did my business and come right back out. But the point I'm gonna make is so many of them can't wait for their 30 years. And some of them's 25.
Yeah.
And I say, that don't make sense. I said, you know, I would go back tomorrow if I could physically, probably, and I could, depends on what they ask me to do. If I have to read something real good or something, I don't know about that. But it's just, I felt like my job as the officer was to make everybody's job. I wanted you to come to work. I wanted you to be happy.
Yes.
If you're not happy, part of my job is let's sit and figure out what I can do to make you happy. Because I don't want you to come to work being ill or just despising your job. Just I want you to be happy. And I think everybody was, at least I'm being told that. Now, I'm sure there's some.
How many of us used to come in sick? I mean, you came to work sicker. Now, sick day is a vacation day.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that, you know, that's where my other 2 years came from, sick leave. I mean, I said I retired with 38, because 2 of them was from sick leave.
A year and a half.
Gary's got something to say here.
Well, no, I'm just thinking, Chief Kent's gone. He was one of our chiefs, trained chiefs. But he made a statement. He said, when I made captain, he, you know, went into the office in there, and him and Pal was in there, and he said, do you want the job? I said, well, yeah, I want the job. And he said, well, let me give you a little advice. If you want to keep gossip down, the best way to do it is, he says, if one of your members comes to you and says, Captain, I think such and such and such and such, and be talking about another firefighter. And I said, and he says, and if that happens, tell them, said, do you think we need to have a company meeting? If they say no, he said, well, I can't do nothing about it if you're not willing to have a company meeting if we got a problem. So that went on, and sure enough, it would stop the gossip. They wouldn't come up to me when they say, if they come up to me and say, Captain, this is such and such, they're doing this, such and I said, well, you think we can have a company meeting? And, oh, no, I just thought I'd just remind you, you know. And so finally, I was at the Station 5, and I ain't calling any names, but we had one fellow that he was not talking to anybody. And all of a sudden, I inherited him because I come from Station 14 and come to 5.
Inherited him.
I inherited him. And so, I didn't know what had all happened and everything, and I said, well, why don't you talk? And no, somebody come and said, I'm best friends with such and such, he won't even talk to me no more. Won't talk to me no more. I said, well, you think we need to have a company meeting? He said, no, I just thought I'd tell you. And so I tried to talk to this fellow and everything, and he wouldn't, you know, say anything to me, but I just talking to him went on, not that somebody talked to me. But then all of a sudden, this went on for 6 months. And finally, one of the members come up to me again, and he says, we've got to have something to do. This man won't talk to us at all. And he used to be my best friend. I said, well, can we have a company meeting? He said, yes, we need one. And so I said, okay. So we called a company meeting just like this, round table. And I started off, and I told the gentleman while we were there, and I said, you don't want to talk to the folks here. And it's bothering them. We can't have a company. We can't really have a company that gels together. He said, and I said, and I didn't call his name. And then they all went along. You know, we were good friends and everything. We never hear you talk anything. And then finally, he broke down, and he said, you know, I've been overlooked so many times, and people has went ahead of me in promotion and all that. And he says, it really hurts my wife. And he starts to cry. And then we all about broke us up, you know, and to the point, and said, well, I hate to hear that. Said she don't have she don't know why, and I know I could do it. And he was one of the best truck men I had. So finally he said all that, and all the guys then, it changed. and he started talking. And he was that way for about 2 years while I was there, but I had to wait till everybody could tell how they felt. And you know what? It wasn't but about the next time the captain's test took, he made it.
That's good.
And he done a good job. But what I'm saying is, I'm glad of what Chief Kent told me, to stop the critical hearing the gossip and trying to maybe hold a judgment against them. Let's get it all together so we can all talk. And they did, and all of a sudden it was a different company. And then he got promoted. So that helped me tremendously.
Good story. Last two questions. What legacy do you hope to leave behind for future generations of firefighters?
Be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to get mad.
That's good. Anybody else want to jump in there? What legacy would you like to leave behind?
Laughter.
What?
Laughter. That's right. If you can't laugh at yourself, you can't laugh at nobody.
All right. That's good.
Enjoy your job, just like you were saying earlier. And you reminded me when I came in about Suitcase Johnson. The story behind it was, if you have strong opinions, accept the consequences, but enjoy it.
Six, seven.
But you enjoy it. There's times when you want to voice your opinion to administration. There's prices to pay sometimes, but the assignments you get, you can learn from it. I met Gary on part of my trip. This was we had a good time.
Oh, we did.
There's a lot of folks I met at 5 I would not have met other than being Suitcase Johnson.
And what I got out of you is I want to leave something. And I got to thinking, the only thing I left was planting bushes over Station 14. And I said, I've left them bushes. Every time I look over there, I see them bushes, what I left.
It's a sign there.
Huh?
Gary planted these.
That's right.
But if you take that attitude, then you enjoy it.
Yeah.
That was the first stop on my Suitcase Johnson days was 5.
Yeah.
And we got there, and at that time, Truck 5 was High Five. It was
That's
the
right,
only
High Five.
specialized company we had in the city. I told him to 5. I said, we're going to be Low 5. The department's not going to send us to get the training that they got, but they need somebody to tie the equipment that they have to take up.
That's right.
And we went on every training
I
class.
think one of the biggest things that when we come through, you had to accept things for what they were. I'm not so sure that these people now do. They question everything, but I can remember just like transfers. I don't know whether it's right or wrong, but the way you found out where you was transferred, they said the transfer's coming out. And you went to the station about the time the chief was bringing it, and they laid it on the kitchen table, and you started looking for your name. Nobody had told you or asked you where you were going. The transfer was laid on the table, yeah, and somebody else had made that decision, and you just started looking to see well, I'm not where I was at, so now where am I at? I mean, and nowadays it's like, it seems like they gotta feel like they gotta have the input and don't want, I guess what I would say is, just remember you're working for somebody. When you come on that recruit class, you're working for the city, you're working for the fire department, you're working for the administration, and you don't always have the input that you think you should have. And that causes grief and aggravation and disappointment. Sometimes you just need to accept it for what it is and try to work around it.
I think all of us in this room have left a legacy there. I don't know how long it'll last, maybe not too much longer, because generations and generations change, but you like to think that you worked at a place and you made a difference, either to your company or your battalion or the whole department or whatever. So I think everybody in this room, for me, you've left a legacy of impressions, or I wouldn't have called you and asked you, because I know who you are and what kind of people you are, good people.
I won't make a statement.
Sure, but I think that's so important for us to try to leave a legacy for a young person. Don't just go there and go, try to make the department better, make it better than when you came there. especially, leave some legacy like that, whatever you involve yourself in. Go ahead, Dan, I'm sorry.
Okay, I know it's getting late, but I'll make it as quick as I can. This goes back to my military days.
Okay.
But it's something somebody said to me when I was sitting in Fort Bliss, Texas, and it's chilly, cold, and we was all shivering in the bleachers, and the black drill sergeant. And he made the statement, and I carried this through the fire department the rest of my life. I want y'all to know that. And I think it worked good, has worked good for firefighters, and I hope it's some of my legacy left behind. That drill sergeant stood there, it's snowing and everything, and he said, "Gentlemen," he said, "I'm a firm believer in you learns by doing." And I've carried that with me in every aspect of my life. As far as other people, you can read all this stuff, you can look at these computers, you can do whatever you want to, but you put your hands on it, listen to the person that's already been there. That's the way you learn. That's the way you do it. That's because the way, in my opinion, you become who you are, and that's always worked for me in every aspect of my life, except my youngest son.
Well, at least you're honest.
He knows.
Last question.
Make sure you don't forget that. Don't forget that.
Well, I'm gonna let you tell your story. I made it very last.
Oh, okay. I didn't want to have to bring it back up.
I know, I'm sorry. If you could relive one day in the fire department, one day in your career, any days you'd go back and do? Any day?
Retirement.
Retirement.
I wouldn't do it.
No, you didn't. I was do it.
So you want to keep on working?
That was the dumbest thing I ever did.
And it wasn't the first time Clifford said that. He has said that many, many times. And do I believe him? Yes. I believe that.
Anybody want any day you think about that you could relive?
Well, I was like Cliff, that was the first thing come to my mind, because I left with 38 years, but I was only 59. And I let things kind of influence me that I should have just fought through it and went on and stayed a little longer. But the one thing I still live with today that was not on the department, but playing softball for the fire department. The night I broke my ankle in 5 places, the lights were shut off. He couldn't get in the box, and we stayed there an hour trying to play on 19th Street, and should have went home. I wished I'd have left.
I was there.
I'm still living 50 years later, hopping with that foot. So, yeah, I wish I'd made the decision to go home and not stay there and play for him. Yeah, I thought of a lot of things, but I thought that's the thing I'm still living with.
That's right. At least we're on a flashlight.
You're an old man. I retired.
Did you really?
52 years old.
I got one. I remember one Christmas morning when I was riding the squad with Joey, and we had an infant in cardiac arrest. I think it was on McCormick Street. And when we got there, that baby was in full cardiac arrest, and we brought that baby back. And I will never forget that day and that mother at the hospital. So to recreate that.
Well, it's kind of it makes you laugh a little bit at first.
Tell you a story about this before we go.
Well, you want to hear about the story. Now, I got on a truck company. I was on an engine company most of my life until I got on a truck company over when I got promoted, and it was on truck 4. But actually, what I was going to talk about is when I went back to truck 5 because I wanted to be on the high level and everything, and we practiced and doing all that stuff. And I told my truck company, I said, and I went to school on to see how a truck company operates because they can't freelance. I mean, an engine can't freelance, but we can. And so I assigned them all seats, what they were supposed to do. And I had one guy, and I said, this right here, this piece of equipment right here is your baby. I said, we don't kick doors in. I said, we use this to get in. And and I said, and we'd go practice with it a little bit there and everything. But I said, you carry it with you. You got to have your axe hooked into here, and you carry it. And Brian Kincaid he's the one that carried it. He was the baby. He had the baby man. He was a forcible entry man. Because the truck companies come on, they would always grab the hose and go on, and nobody's opening it up. So I said, we're going to sign your seats. You're going to be the ones that open the door. And McCarter would always have his foot kicked in, and he got caught there one time and couldn't get out. And I said, we don't need to be kicking, Captain McCarter, you're gonna mess the knee up. I said, you're gonna use the baby. And this is the baby, the Halligan tool. And I looked up a little, and you know the history on it too. Captain Halligan of New York City, he come up with this because when New York, they had cottages and little houses and wood houses and all. They could, you could kick it in. But when they started putting metal doors in these apartments and things, they couldn't get in there. So I said, that's what we're going to do. And I taught them how to go through the lock. And you can actually pop that and pop a lock sometime. But had a little point there, and it had you pop, and it's good for who's on a squad because you can start a spot to put your the jaws of life in. But we got in a call. It's a 3-story apartment building, and it was rolling. So I come running around with the baby. I had the baby in my hand. They had a metal door there, and no one using my common sense. It was just, I'm sitting there and we were beating on that metal door to make it pop open because I didn't want to tear up anything else of the house, but the house, the building's burning up. And I said, so some little guy from a pumper come in there. He just kicked the window out right there and went on in. It was a little window beside the door. I said, oh my lands. That was embarrassing. And so I didn't even have to open the door. We had the window and you can open the door that way. But I had been beating on that door, trying to get it open, and they was watching me, and I wasn't paying any attention. And it was, there's a big old window here. You could step through it. And all you have to do is kick it in. No common sense. I lost my common sense. I had my tool. So we went and I set all that down and went in there and put it out. Went back the next day at the station. The other shift had brought that door into the kitchen and set it down. And it had holes all in it. But I believe they added some holes. I was so embarrassed. I wish I had a picture now because they must have hit it like that and just completely went holes, just like bullet holes all in there. I know I didn't know how to do all that. But they had it for me. So look what Captain Church done to try to get in. He couldn't even get in. And so I said, they got me. They play with me. So what I've learned there is to have a little more common sense. Because I knew they always told us at high rises that if you can't get in that door when you're going up on a high rise, knock the sheetrock out. And so I have to say they got me.
So what I said is that you learn by not doing it.
I believe it.
Don't be hard
I think it was a sliding glass door right here. And still beating on that.
It was all.
Thank you, Amy, for coming.
I've got feathers on me.
Anything you want to say before
feathers?
I think the only thing I'll say, and I said this just very briefly before, listening to you is like listening to the guys and girls in the stations today. Okay. The conversations might be a little different, but the feeling is the same. I can pick that up. And what I also want to say, when you talk a lot about legacy and things like that, the lessons that live inside them today all came from you. They may not know your name, your name may not be attached to it, but that's what I see, that's what I feel, that's what I hear. They may not even recognize it, but it's there because they learned from you, they learned from your successes, from your challenges, and that is inside them. Some of them do recognize that and feel that, but it's there. And that's what I feel and see. So I just wanted to share that.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.